Bet you didn't see that shit coming. Just like I didn't see Infinite coming. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Demolition Chime back at it again with another video. I am so goddamn happy. I know this video did not come out when I wanted it to. Okay, I need to say that right the fuck now. I was not invited, but I was at least able to make videos of this, and I could finally talk about this. I could finally have a video about Halo. I've made Reach videos, but nothing has been like this in a long fucking time. So it's been 6 years since I got a game, and about 11 years since I've been this excited. I was able to play and stream and record the flight test, and I could not be happier. I shall be looking at all of this critically. So without further ado, I'm gonna talk about the cons first, because I know that in order for me to stay critically, the only way for me to stay on track with that is if I talk about all the bads first. After that, I can go ahead and let all my Halo boners out after that. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be a good time. Let's talk about the launch. So the launch is pretty good. And by good, I mean fucking terrible. To 343's credit, no beta's perfect, and that's the point of a beta. It's the point is they're not perfect, and you know they're taking their time and to make it perfect. And I'm happy with that. And I appreciate everything that they've been doing, because you've been listening to the community for once, and it's so nice to see this. But they could have at least extended it for the lost time that we got in the very beginning. The massive delay, I didn't even get a chance to even play it until 9 or 10 p.m. Eastern time. At least gave me 10 p.m. on Monday. That would have been great. That would have been fucking awesome. It kind of sucked coming from home after a long day of work and having all this hype on Twitter, and even being able to see the playtest before the flight test even showed up, just to not be able to play it for another 10 hours. But I'm happy to see that in their recent little patch notes video, I guess, was able to at least address this issue, and they said that they worked on it. Good. Now we're in the game. And oh dear God, I cannot connect. It hurt so bad when I finally was able to get into the beta, and I had to wait for another hour just to connect to just the main menu. The UI looked pretty clean, except for I couldn't navigate most of it. Whenever I went to the customizations and I went too far to the right, I lost frames. If I wanted to just go into the academy, I couldn't connect into it. I would hit it, I would allow it, it would let me hear it, and I would think that I got in, but I did not. And I would still be at the main menu waiting for it to load up, and then it would never load up. And don't even get me started on connecting onto the PvE where we were fighting the bots. I couldn't. I will say, after about 2 to 3-ish hours of me constantly going through this process with the connectivity issues and that whole thing, the problem seemed to go away, and it was like my PC got used to what was going on there, or maybe the service got better at that time. Another thing, this might be just slight nitpicking, but I think it was just something that I think I should be able to at least talk about. Whenever I closed the beta, it completely forgot my settings. It would remember certain settings, but forget other settings. It would forget my controls whenever I played on Recon. It would forget my sensitivity, but it would remember the resolution and the settings I set it on prior and graphically wise. Although that didn't really mean anything, the optimization did not feel at all good. But to their credit, they said that the playtest was actually 2 months old. So that makes me feel a little bit more safe to know that, within that 2 months, things could have changed. Optimizations could have been better. I've seen them on their, like I said, patch notes video. If you want to go check that out, there's a link in the description. But they were basically testing it out on not only PC, which is probably where a lot of people are going to be playing this game, but I've also seen them do it for Xbox One, Xbox One S, Xbox One X, Xbox Series S, and Series X. They've been trying to make sure the optimization is good for those consoles and on PC. So I'm not too worried about the optimization. The fact that I was even able to get into the game in the first place was just a miracle on its own. I know it sounds like I'm nitpicking, but you got to admit that if you were going to your controls on PC, this is just a PC perspective, but if you're going into the game on the controls and you're setting it to be a specific thing with certain buttons and certain layout, because not only was I playing this on my controller, but I was also playing with my keyboard and mouse, it gets kind of annoying when you go in and you have to keep remembering the settings that you put it to the last time, or otherwise you were screwed over and you have to rebind these settings over and over and over again. It happened repeatedly, and it was very annoying. But yeah, there was a lot of optimization issues. This is probably more of a nitpicky thing, but there was no full screen, and I don't understand that. It was borderless full screen, it was windowed, but there was no full screen. Now, while I will say everything I'm saying after this is a little nitpicky. So the Storm Carbine, to me, kind of sucked. Or at least maybe I was using it wrong, but it definitely didn't feel right? It felt lackluster in comparison to all the other guns. The lack of ability to have a one-shot kill with the Bulldog made me feel like shotguns really aren't going to be in this game like that strong, which blows my mind because I play modes like Infection. I played lots of modes where the shotgun has been a very prevalent thing, and for it to not be able to even one-shot, even at close range, is kind of made me scared for ever picking it up. It's faster, yes, but it doesn't necessarily do the damage that I thought it would do.
Look what they've done to my boy!
What the fuck did you do to the gravity hammer? Why can't I send people flying? They just flop over on the ground and give up. The weirdest part is I would melee people in the back or just straight up after a kill, and I would watch them fly, but for some reason the big alien stick doesn't do it. Okay, now I got all my cons out the way. This game looks fucking amazing. Not only does it feel good on a controller, but it felt great on a keyboard too. There's sprinting in this game. There's a lot of Halo fans that don't like sprinting at all, but I would say that just walking around and just jumping and not even like sprinting at all, for the most part, I don't even think I really sprinted. Just basic movement was also a viable option. I hated that like in like other games like Reach, where sprinting was basically like a defined win if you just jumped and sprinted and you can go around someone and assassinate them straight up, or in any other Halo 4 and 5. Too bad I wasn't sprinting, you know? Too bad I wasn't fucking sprinting. I'm no anti-sprinter, but I'm also no pro sprinter either. I just, whatever feels right, I'm gonna do it. Also, sprinting didn't feel too fast either, so it was not saying that was a gripe or anything, but because sprinting wasn't so fast, basic movement felt like it was also just like, okay. The graphics, when they worked, looked freaking stunning. The attention to detail was astonishing at the very least. And then when it came to the gunplay, me personally, had a great fucking time with it. So for the Storm Rifle, even the Bulldog, even though it doesn't one-shot, it felt pretty good. The UNSC guns felt so fucking solid. Maybe it might have been against the bots, but the assault rifle seemed really, really strong against them. It just seemed like they were just eating all the damage, but at least we were able to see the damage at its full potential. I would say also the aim and sights thing, they're not so much in your face. That was really nice to experience. Dude, oh my god, the music and the sounds, oh my god. It felt so good.
That shit slaps!
To the fucking shields recharging, the music felt Halo. Like, I felt it. I felt the vibes of when I was a kid. I got the Halo 3 in my hands on release, and I heard it, and I heard that music. I don't know the full OST, but you best believe at every point in time when this fully comes out, the OST will be playing the entire time. So how I interpreted the grappling hook from how they showed it from the first ever real gameplay that we really showed back last year, when we got Craig, I thought it was going to be like, this is something you can use all the time, kind of like the armor abilities in Reach, and that's in like that's kind of setting, or at least like something on a cooldown. It's an item pickup, which I think that already shows balance. It's something you can pick up on the map, which means that everyone has an opportunity to use it, but no one's overly using it. That's what I was afraid of when I was seeing the multiplayer before the multiplayer flight test came out, was when people were hijacking, that guy grappled his way up there and pulled the other guy out. The last thing I'd want is a fuck fest of that happening. Gun rotations felt really good. It was actually really nice to see the guns on the wall. I know it sounds like a smaller grapple against previous Halos, but that's not what that was. It was just, I knew where the guns were spawning. I knew where I started to get a feel for the whole flow of the fucking maps that I was playing. God, I'm so excited for this game right now. I'm so excited for this game. The maps also felt very Halo. I know the first one was very small, and I'm okay with a small map in Halo, especially since it's a 4v4. That's fine. And it also looks like a good map for other modes like VIP, Juggernaut, that kind of thing. There's need for smaller maps. I think the problems with a lot of games right now is they're making too big of maps. Battlefield 5. There's too many big maps, and there should be, you know, more condensed maps. And I like that. I like that that had some small maps in there. I forgot to talk about some things that I didn't talk about in the first recording of this, so this is just gonna be me kind of jumping in a little bit with a little bit more insight on certain things, specific things that I liked and things that I didn't like. In terms of the gravity hammer, two things bugged me. Obviously, the one thing was the lack there was of the, you know, gravity part, but also the lack of booming sound it had is not there. Like, it doesn't sound like a gravity hammer. It doesn't feel like a gravity hammer. The swing comes down right. Everything looks right except for it doesn't launch a person out of the way, which I don't see how that's not a possible thing. And then it doesn't sound right. And that just might be me griping, but it's like the gravity hammer always had that thum sound, right? It sounded like you were bringing down the hammer of Thor when you were swinging it. The guns in this game sounded really, really good. I very specifically liked hearing the commando. The commando's like heavy, chunky sound. Also, the spiker shot was also really, really nice. I think the spiker shot sounded really, really, really good, and it was super satisfying when you landed those shots. Even the storm carbine, even though I'm not a fan of the gun, it did sound pretty okay. I would have hoped for a plasma rifle, but, you know, to each their own there. And the level of customization, there was a lot of options in there, and I didn't talk about it too much in my first original recording. Although it was odd a little bit to see those like kind of emoting like Spartans, it gave them personality, which I really liked. I liked that even your character that you customize has a personality that can reflect off of you. I also loved the AIs. The AIs had a wide variety of customizations in terms of their own personalities and stuff. Knowing there's going to be more than just the ones in the flight test is super, 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 super nice. And I love that. That's awesome. Oh, and another thing I genuinely loved was hearing the announcer. God, I was really afraid when we was hearing about the AIs that I was afraid that we were going to be replacing the announcer, but it's more like the AI is like an addition to what the announcer already does. Killing spree. Double kill, triple kill, overkill. Like, I love that shit. God, it got my blood rushing from that. That was super good. A lot of people are actually quite upset right now that Halo Infinite's not coming out with Forge and co-op. My personal take on this. I'm happy to see that they're willing to give us a polished product. I could not imagine me having all of these things if I was able to have Forge and co-op and it didn't work. I know a lot of people wanted Halo Infinite to be just done, but that's not how game development works. That's a long, long, long process. They were willing to listen, and not only listen, but to go back to the drawing board and not, I wouldn't say start completely over, but to fix a lot of the issues and even work with the community to make this game where the community wants it to be and where they want it to be. You gotta at least give them the shot that they're trying to give us a polished product. I've spent years being disappointed by a lot of games as recent, right? A lot of it was just like the game devs didn't listen, they didn't care, or they're just like, we're doing it our way kind of thing, right? Or they just became completely like, you know, they Carsoned it and completely ignored the subject in the first place. Like, it's that kind of thing that's like, I appreciate it because they're trying. Hey, at least we'll have story, at least we'll have multiplayer, right? I think that I can wait a couple months to get Forge. I'm not in a rush to get Forge. Me, at least right now, I'm not in a rush. My main concerns is that story and that multiplayer. Everything else, I can wait. Sure, if other people are just like, oh yeah, I wanted to couch game this and I can't get it, right? Like I said, I'm not upset with 343. Actually, this is the first time in like years that I've been actually really, really happy with them. The last time I was happy with them was with Wars. I liked Wars. That's me. If the maps are that good and the modes are all there, as long as that's my only gripe, because Halo 5 didn't come with all of its modes in terms of multiplayer. As long as the full campaign's there and there's no like, purchase this DLC for extended story, Destiny, I'll be happy with that. Say what you want, do what you want. That's all everyone else's opinion. You're allowed to have your opinion. However, I have the right to not to listen to you. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I took me a minute to make this video because, you know, I had a lot of thoughts about this. I had a lot of B-roll to get, and I was also waiting for a little bit more feedback from 343 before I was ready to make this video in the first place. I'm just excited, and I'm ready to play Halo, but I'm willing to also wait for certain things. You know, that's me. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Later.